Sorry?
Well, hello, and a very warm welcome back to the Andrew Eborn Show with me, Andrew Eborn. Who else? It's got to be good. I'm going all the way to South Africa and joined by my good chum. We can say good chum now. Errol Musk. How are we doing, Errol?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
Excellent. We're all surviving. And talking about surviving, Trump, how good is he getting on in the States with this campaign? Everybody's saying that Elon has become a vital part of Trump's campaign. He's given around 75 million to the pro Donald Trump spending group in the span of 3 months. How do you see it all going?
You know, it's going well. The way it's going the way it should be going. I am someone who is concerned about the dirty tricks department of the Democrat Party. They are. I consider them a dirty tricks operator. I don't. They've shown it. They've proved that. They've made that quite obvious. They are not. They're not team. They're not fair players. They don't play fairly. And one people have all. Some people have said, why doesn't the other parties also do what the Democrats do? It's beneath them to do what the Democrats do. So in my opinion, the 2020 election was rigged. It's so obviously rigged that I think a primary school a child, certainly a grade seven, could work it out that the election was hugely rigged, and the idea of 200,000 votes in favor of the Democrat candidate arriving at 1:30 in the morning after the trailing the Trump, say for example, is very odd. That suddenly this track arrives and not a single vote for Trump at all, for 200,000 for Kamala, on photocopied votes. I mean, this is what happened, and they in the last election, on the one occasion they had an alarm, a fire alarm in the building, and everybody was vacated except 4 or 5 people. This was, I think, in Pennsylvania and in Georgia, rather, no, in Georgia. And then as soon the cameras caught these people afterwards, when everybody left, pulling out big containers from underneath desks and things filled with votes, and then stacking them into the arrived votes that have arrived box. And this was shown on TV. I mean, everyone could see it afterwards because they were caught on TV. Nothing was done about it. So anyway, yeah. So what I'm concerned about is what the Democrats will do. My opinion of the Democrats is they're such a useless lot that they would probably start World War III if it meant that they could stop Trump from winning, or the Republicans from restoring the United States to normality. Um, they are letting, as Elon has said, they're letting people into the country without any form of documentation from all sorts of places, apparently by the million, with the idea, as Elon has said, to bolster the voting. They're going to let these people vote in the election. I mean, this is uncivilized. It's not civilized. It's not civilized. And how do they get away with it? And they get away with it because they are weak, and we are strong. And so we look at these weak people doing this kind of thing, and we sort of say, "Oh, shame! Oh, shame!" Oh, and we sort of forgive them for it. Whereas, in fact, we shouldn't be forgiving them for it. We should be sending them to Guantanamo Bay or whatever for doing what they've been doing. And I was watching a thing on the TV yesterday or the day before. It was an old thing where they're interviewing Bill Clinton, and they're saying to him, "So you think oral sex is okay in the Oval Office?" And he's like, "Well, I don't think it's a good thing." So you committed oral sex in the Oval Office? Yeah. So do you don't think it's a bad thing? Well, yeah, I do actually think, well, I shouldn't have done it in the Oval Office. I mean, what the hell? If any normal man had done something like that, or any normal person, you'd want to give him a punch in the face, isn't it? You want to give him a slap through the face, or turn him around and kick him in the backside. Because you don't do things like that. But because it's them, they're so weak, they're so hopeless. So let's just give them a break, Oh, you know what I mean? Like babies. So, no, I'm concerned what they're going to come up with. As I say, they more than likely set off this so-called pandemic. Well, I never got this injection. I never got sick. I don't even know anybody got sick. So it was, it's so much information now that it was all faked. But apart from that, maybe they started that I think it's very likely they started that to cause problems for the economy in America. But the reason I say that is this. Having read how the plague reached England, I read about this, and it started in the 13th century by coming apparently from ships that arrived apparently from China, and they had rats on it, and these rats then landed in Genoa. But it took 2 years. Before the first plague victim showed up in England, which means it takes time for that bug to find its way across Europe to England. It took time. But now, when this pandemic with COVID occurred, I was quite surprised in January 2020 to read that it showed up in all 48 states on the mainland all at once, all on the same day. Now, that doesn't make any sense. How can it show up all on the same day in every state? No form of creep. So then I thought, no, there's something wrong here. But apart from that, as far as this election is concerned, what are the Democrats going to come up with? Are they going to, well, they're trying to shoot Trump, obviously. So they're trying to shoot him, try and bring his plane down. I don't know if that'll help, because if they succeed, Vance will go in. So they have to kill him too. That's how they operate. As Elon said, nobody's making any comment about shooting, Harris and the other one, Biden. Everybody said, how can you say that? What a terrible thing for Elon to say. But on the other hand, he was right. Nobody cares about them. Nobody cares about, they're not worth it. They're not worth assassinating Harris or Biden. They're not worth it.
And anyway, it's really, I mean, you make some very interesting points about COVID and so on and so forth, and the spread of misinformation. I mean, going back to the plague, when it first started over here, people were killing all the cats and the dogs because they assumed that they were spreading it. And actually, there was that misinformation which spread. And we also had something called the Spanish flu, the wrongly named Spanish flu in 1918. And the reason it was called the Spanish flu is we had a media lockdown on reporting, and King Alfonso the 13th, he got this. So it's reported widely in the media. So it got called the Spanish flu. It actually started in Kansas. And I think it was the Kansas cough would be more appropriate. So this misinformation that gets spread as a result of it. But it is concerning. And as you rightly say, if there are suggestions of this election interference or faking votes and so on and so forth, people should look at it. But it seems to be shut down as conspiracy theories, doesn't it?
Well, as Elon has also said, it's a conspiracy theory until it's shown to be true. Then it's not a conspiracy theory anymore. So I would take things down to the ordinary level of average businesses in a typical area in competition with one another. I can assure you that with every business, whatever it is, you mentioned plumbing in a previous episode, be it plumbers or be it electricians, be it Venetian blind people, be it whatever it is, car sellers, car dealers, whatever. If you think that your opposition is just sitting there blank-headed, dumb-headed, blank, just doing whatever it is they do and not giving a remotest notice of what you might be doing, well, then you're really stupid, because each business is getting together as often as it can, if they've got one or two members or a board or something, to try and work out strategies to outdo the opposition. To sell more cool drink or whatever it is. They have, all thinking of ways and means to bolster their brand without breaking any laws. Ideally, if there were no laws, they would set fire to the opposition's factory. I think that probably did happen at times in the past. If your opposition got too good, you do all sorts of things, start a flood or something. but
Well,
no, no.
the other way of
Everybody's
flooding,
planning.
rather than
And what do you call that?
physical,
Conspiracy?
yeah. No, but rather than physical damage, obviously there's information and the whole spread of information. And obviously, as the owner of X, Elon's reshaped the media environment of the election. He's allowed previously banned accounts, not least Donald Trump, back on the platform. What's your take on that?
Letting, yeah, well, I mean, why? He shouldn't be off the platform in the first place. I mean, he's a past president of America, for heaven's sakes. I mean, do you get a better credential than that? No. How can you take this person off social media? No. You can't do that. And as you can see, it didn't work. It didn't work. So he's back on to all these things. It's just, I think today's setups are somewhat almost, they're not even that serious. They don't worry people that much, although they should, these sort of things. But if you go back and you look at history and you imagine yourself living during the sort of terror years of the French Revolution, with the 3 or 4 years with Maximilian Robespierre and so on, and people like that. I mean, then we would certainly be taking note of everything that these people would be doing to each other and planning against each other, because certainly there was no dimwits walking around and bumping into trees. They were all getting together and planning each other's demise at a feverish pace, and this one would succeed, and then that one would succeed, and then that one would succeed, until finally they virtually killed each other. In the end, there was nobody left over, and so Napoleon could walk in and declare himself first consul.
Lessons from history. You're right. Now, since Elon's acquisition of X, Republican advertising increased significantly on X, and whereas Democrats are now focusing on other social media. What's your take on that?
Well, if they can do that if they want. I think by not advertising on X is silly, because X, the last time I heard, Elon told me it's 600% bigger than what it was when he took it over. So it's 6 times bigger. I mean, if and then some other sort of measure was told me so many million a day or something like that, or more, or so many billion, I beg pardon, messages a day. Then I would say, well, by not advertising on those, you're losing out. You would be losing out. If you went to something that you thought the Democrats would prefer, you're probably going to be losing out. So it's just plain silly.
Yeah.
And
part of the suggestion, and obviously it makes sense, is that the reason that Elon's supporting Trump is both financial incentive and also policy influence, if you like. I mean, the policies from Trump would probably benefit Tesla and other business ventures, and obviously Biden and Harris and their regulatory interference wouldn't benefit in the same sort of way. What are your views on that?
well, as I said before, you can regulate, but people will not accept the regulation when it gets to a point where they realize as a group, well, we don't want this. So, you can try, but it doesn't. People have tried this for centuries. Just read history. I mean, it's for centuries people have tried all sorts of ways to try and tell people they're going to do this and do that. They never succeed. They never succeed. I mean, if you look at the Soviet Union, Stalin is a laughing stock now. I mean, he was a monster, but he's a laughing stock. They're taking down all these statues. He's really just considered an idiot now. So you would think, well, if he was right, then today it would be Stalin times 5 in operation there. It's not. Things go back to what they should be. And for that matter, talking about the French Revolution, the same. It soon went back to what it should be. Yeah,
You're absolutely. We spoke previously about Elon's influence and the influence of celebrity generally on political affairs. You've got Taylor Swift, who at one stage was going to be the mother of your another grandchild. We spoke about that.
that's cool.
But also John Bon Jovi's come out and so on and so forth. And what influence do you think Elon's going to have on this election?
Oh no, no, he's going to have huge influence. I mean, thinking people, uh, you can't you can't go to people who are listening to, pop music and ask them what their opinions. They will have an opinion when they're in a different frame of mind, but pop music and such like frame of mind has got nothing to do with politics. I think um, um, as soon as you get into things like pop music, you like John Bon Jovi and so forth. That's all fun stuff. So for them to for him to associate himself, which is all fuddy, heavy fuddy daddy or something like that. He's a be a fool, to say I support very strict this and that in the United States. I mean, he's to do with having a good time. So he would obviously say I support breaking the rules, you know, and then everybody says, yeah, all right, let's go and buy his record because he supports breaking the rules because that's what the kind of person he is about. No, no, I don't think the music people are going to have any influence whatsoever on what people do when they vote. Nothing, nothing.
It is interesting, and it actually backfires. I often quote the example of the Dixie Chicks, and they fragmented their audience as a result of what they said about the Iraq War and so on and so forth. And I think if they stuck to the music as opposed to politics, it's probably a better idea, wouldn't it?
Yes, I mean nobody takes any notice. I mean, if I see a film, these actors, I have a daughter who's a film producer and director, so I learned from her, that be it as may, she treats actors as kind of the machine or the ammunition of the film industry. They use it and expend it. So take the actor, use the actor, goodbye actor, get another actor. She's very downplays the role of the actor a great deal. But at the end of the day, the actors are just ordinary people. So very ordinary people. I was looking at a thing on YouTube the other day when it said educational qualifications of male actors, and half of them dropped out of school. I mean, I can understand possibly dropping out of university, but I can't imagine dropping out of school. But and some of them no schooling at all, and half of them dropped out of school, and hardly any of them have got anything more than a high school diploma. And in our family, that wouldn't be considered enough. You have to have a little bit of tertiary education by certainly the way we look at things anyway. And that doesn't mean you have to go to university. It could be something similar. But to take an actor's opinion on something is to ask yourself, what is an actor? He's pretending to be somebody else.
Yeah.
It's not. We're not talking about Einstein here. We're talking about somebody's pretending to be somebody else, and this is not particularly reason enough to take any suggestion they may have regarding the direction I should take in life.
And I think the best thing, Errol, is that people do question for themselves and look at the policies and come to informed decisions. I mean, if the good thing is if that actors and those in the public eye encourage people to vote and to take an interest, that's got to be good, isn't it?
Oh yeah, of course, of course. No, I mean we can't do without actors. Actors are a wonderful part of life. I mean, who would have ever thought that actors would fill such a big role in the world, in our world, because they are there to reenact the things that we think about all the time, and many of them are extremely good at it. But at the end of the day, they are reading lines that were written for them. And I was quite interested to hear my daughter say that they never allow any actor to deviate from the lines. The lines they say are the lines that are given to them to say, and she said it's like that. She's been with Universal Studios and previously with Alliance and so on, and so she knows. And she said they simply read the lines, even though it sounds like a sort of quick off the mark joke. It was actually a joke written that they must do, and so that makes you think because they're not that smart. It's not that they're not smart, but I mean, if they came up with a joke, great, that's terribly funny. But they were given the joke, you see,
Right.
to do. So yeah, so I don't think you can put your life in their hands if somebody's an actor.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
You may
been
make
in
an
a couple
interesting.
of.
I mean, some directors encourage people to ad lib, and Mike Lynch and so on and so forth. Various other people, they look at that sort of side, and directors would turn around and encourage actors to be more ad libbing. But you're saying Tosca would say you've got to stick to the
No, I
script.
don't think there's much ad libbing. I really don't think there is, because the writers that write these things they have rules about ad libbing on their writing. There's the writers union, and so it's not as simple as that. And you know, and yeah, so no, actors are wonderful. They, I was going to say I've been in a few plays when I was very young, in 19, 20, 21. I was in a couple of one, even a Shakespeare play, and I played the part of Gratiano in Merchant of Venice. And I certainly wouldn't think that that qualifies me to talk about life in Italy or anything like that. I just repeated the lines,
Yeah,
you know.
it makes sense. But one of the criticisms that often gets brought up about Elon, he's spreading. They call him a super spreader of misinformation.
Oh, no.
What's your answer to that?
Well, rubbish, absolute rubbish. I would say quite the opposite. Elon is a spreader of information you can cling to. So Elon told me, and I don't know, he didn't say I can't tell anybody. He said 2025, Starlink will be on your cell phone.
There you go. So it could be absolutely true, and I think the more we advance those sort of things, the better. We should have a look at that sort of stuff.
Well, that's information. I mean, that's wonderful information.
Yeah,
So no, I don't see. I've never heard Elon say anything that could be construed as misinformation. Never,
yeah. I think
never.
the important thing is to
Elon is a
question everything.
straightforward guy.
Look at sources. Sometimes people inadvertently will share something that they've heard and so on and so forth. I mean, everybody does it. And Elon himself has done it and then cancelled it or corrected it. I think people make mistakes, and we have to allow for mistakes, don't we?
Well, yes. I mean, Elon is is what I'd call a straight shooter. You know, in my experience, I've had to do with people in acting and people in advertising and so on. These are people whose mind is forever coming up with very, very clever things to say, you know. And I don't know how they do it, but they are brilliant to be in their company. And it's rather disarming to, you know, when you're in their company, because they seem so much smarter than you are. And you dread any one of them directing a comment at you, because you haven't got some nifty, smart answer to back, you know, and you're going to look like a real idiot. But because they're doing sort of copywriting or something all the time, they're forever putting words and ideas together. And so when they're in conversation with each other, they share these things, and it's so smart, you know. So Elon is a straight shooter. He's not like that at all. So you easily put him at odds, put him in a difficult position if he was with a bunch of, you know, advertising people. Or and Kimball, on the other hand, is not. He's quite quick with the wit. You see, he's more arty and he's more quick with a nifty reply.
Right.
You see, like Churchill, you know, this woman said, "You are drunk, Mr. Prime Minister," and he said, "Madam, I'm drunk. It's true, but tomorrow I won't be drunk. But tomorrow you'll still be ugly."
Glorious. And talking about family members and quips and airing their opinions, Mary Trump, who's Donald Trump's niece, she claims that her uncle has a new owner, is how she put it, due to his close ties with Elon. And she referred to Elon as the world's richest fascist. What's your response to Mary?
Oh, you know, just saying one
Welcome
shouldn't
back. We
take notice of.
froze for a moment there. I don't know what that was. It was obviously the talk about good old Mary Trump. And we were just saying that she's Donald Trump's niece, who claims that her uncle says her uncle has a new owner due to his close ties with Elon Musk. And she referred to Elon as the world's richest fascist. What would you say to Mary, Errol?
Well, that's ridiculous, you know. No, Elon is. I don't think Mary Trump knows what a fascist is, but a fascist, as I understand it, is somebody who wants all control in his own in the hands of one person or something to that effect. Now, admittedly, you know, if you're running a factory or something, and I'm running a factory, and I've got all my money in it, or not only my money, my time, and my potential future or no future, I would, and I have a few workers, I would certainly be quite a firebrand leader, and you might call me a bit of a fascist factory owner. And if I wasn't, the factory would probably not succeed. So, a fascist factory owner would be giving orders left, right, and center: do this, do that, don't do this, and have this done, do this, do that. But that's how you make it work. No, Elon is not a fascist. That's laughable.
Yeah, it is. They always go for these sound bites. I mean, she basically argues that Trump, her uncle, has a long history of prioritizing financial gain over principles, is what she says. There we go.
Well, no, people who prioritize financial gain, I don't think prioritizing success, which brings with it financial gain, is very important. Because if you don't do that, well, then it's all been a waste of time, and you're all going to starve to death or whatever. So anyone you get with, I heard somebody say the other day that I would rather be with a man who turned although he got $1 million rands dollars rather, when he was 21, to start out from his father, apparently, or something like that, and turned it into billions. That suits me fine. A man who turns $1 million into billions, it's good for me. I'll go with him, as opposed to a man who turned, millions into nothing and lost all his money. I wouldn't go with him. And so, no, I mean, it's the stuff they come up with is laughable. I mean, and or if it wasn't for the harm that they do with these type of things, and influencing stupid people or people who are easy to influence, it's who cares? Who cares if they come up with stuff like that?
Yeah.
And it brings me to, when I had my sons, two sons, when they were born, I could have. A parent's choice is you can raise your children to be servants, which is not bad. You could raise them to have a servantile mentality. You could raise them to work in a woman's hairdresser's shop. You could raise them to be prepared to dig ditches, and not expect more from life. And you could keep reminding them that's what they should have and not expect more from life. Or you could raise your two sons, like I did, to be warriors in the modern sense, where they are going to go out in the world and fight. And I chose that because the alternatives had no future whatsoever to them. Yeah. And so in that respect, Trump went out. His father apparently was similar to me, and he sent Trump out and said, do what you have to do and get yourself going, and gave him a great start. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, there's a movie out at the moment about Trump and his early days in that sort of stuff. Would you like a movie to be made about your life?
My life? Yeah, that would be great. Except I won't go to see it.
Who would you like to play you?
Play me? No, I have no idea. But they were going to make them. They are apparently Darren Aronofsky. Apparently, the guy who did some, I don't know which movies, some well-known movies. He's making a movie right now about Elon. They're busy in the process. And I was asked a while back, who's going to play you? And I said, from the information I got from the Sun newspaper in England, was that they were looking at Al Pacino.
I was going to say Al Pacino. There's definitely an Al Pacino look there. Yeah. I think he could carry off a good Errol Musk.
Yeah, or Nicolas Cage. Anyway, the thing is, Nicolas Cage looked very much like my father. In fact, I've seen photographs of Nicolas Cage where you wouldn't be able to tell whether it's my father as a young man or Nicolas Cage. That's quite interesting. But no, I mean, making movies about people, it's fine. It's lovely. Why not? Inevitably they don't get things as well right as they should have. And then at the end of the day, some people lives are worth watching to see what happened in their lives. Other people perhaps are interesting, but it's not that important. I don't think it's that important.
Well, I've said this before. People take a lot of comfort in your sharing your messages and your life, and they love whether it's commenting on your photos or your pictures behind you to talking about lessons that they can learn in their own life. The more that you speak about how you dealt with relationships and so on and so forth. One final thought then, because we've got the assisted dying bill is being discussed in Parliament at the moment. And somebody asked for your views on that. This is people who are maybe in the last 6 months of their life. And a big campaigner over here is somebody called Esther Ranson, who says, look, people, they're entitled not only to enjoy their life, but also to make sure that they have a comfortable death. Well, what's your views on assisted dying?
Well, I would say that it's contrary to human nature to select, contrary to life, to any life, to select its death. I don't know of any creature, there may be, I don't know of any creature or certainly any normal animal that would do itself in because it's no longer part of the crowd. Like you take the older lions, the older elephant, they tend to go off and forage for themselves until they do pass away. They don't tend to throw themselves off a cliff or anything. No, I would imagine that if people are suffering a great deal of pain, they may and there's no relief, or for some reason they feel there's just no alternative. I can imagine that people might say, yes, well, do me in, do me in. I imagine it's possible. It's a very difficult one to I would certainly, if I had one of my people that I care about saying do me in, I'd say no, I'm not doing you in. I'm not doing you in. I don't care. I don't care if you're in pain. I'm not doing you in. I like you just the way you are, pain and all, right now, the way it is. So I'm not doing you in. So you can ask me as much as you like, but I'm not doing you in. Because in every extra minute with you is worth it to me. I'm not going to do you in. So you may think you're suffering, but I'm not doing you in because we need you. And that's how I would look at it. No way, Jose.
So you're
No.
definitely against it.
Well, I'm not against it because there may be people who actually, who opt for it. And then if that's their decision, who am I to tell them?
I
But
think
I would not.
this is what
I
people
would
are
not
saying. If
opt
they're
for it.
suffering in the last 6 months of their life and they know that they definitely are not going to survive longer, there's not going to be a cure and so on and so forth. Right in
Well,
the same way as you might put an animal out of its misery, as they used to say, by taking it to the vet. That's what they're saying. They want the right to choose an earlier death.
well, if I wouldn't like to be the doctor who does this. I would be the doctor who would say, I don't think you should do this. It's not. Why are you doing this? But if people feel that as strongly as that, who am I to stop them? But I would certainly not have someone uh, in my life saying to me, "Do me in, please," because I don't want to go on and agree to doing them. I won't do them in. I just say, "No ways. We're gonna we're gonna fight this, or we're gonna get you right, or whatever." I just say no. But you also remember, I've had people come to me. This may sound, infra dig or something like that, but I've had men come to me whose wives have left them in the prime of their lives, and said, I want to do myself in. I'm going to kill myself, and I won't say, can I help? Then I can't particularly say they asked me, will you help me? But they were looking for me to say, good idea, yes, I think you should. In which case I didn't. I said, no. In a year from now, you're going to thank God that this happened to you. You're going to look back and say, I should have, how could I have been so stupid at the time? That's really what's going to happen to you, because they can't see that at that point. But I've had people come to me whose businesses have collapsed, where they've got no chance. And this one, I can think of one man whose only alternative, he was a Jewish man, and he had been at the top of the pile, top of the pile. His only alternative was to go and work on a kibbutz in Israel. That was the only alternative he had. From being a man who drove the best vehicles, had the finest homes and everything, he lost everything he had. And today, all he does is talk about his wonderful life working in this place and the inventions that he's putting out at this place and so on. So, no, people are very short-sighted when they at a dip in life and saying, I think I should kill myself. I don't think that was ever the intention. No. And to that extent, I totally don't agree with capital punishment. I was involved in capital punishment in a big way. When I say in a big way, on this as a sideline, part of the situation I was having to serve was executing about 2,000 people a year, which is oddly enough about 50 a week. So 40 to 50 a week, which is a hell of a lot of people, 8 at a time. In fact, this is pretty horrible. And I totally don't agree with that. I don't agree with doing that kind of thing. I don't agree with it. I don't care if we all have to share more food or something. I don't care. I don't agree with it.
No, you've made that very clear. Errol, it's always a pleasure. Fascinating catch up. We will get you back. The daily occurrence here on the Andrew Eborn Show. But for now, Errol Musk, thank you very much for joining me.
Okay.